Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Hot D, Season 1, Episodes 9 and 10, The Green Council, and The Black Queen. But we're not talking about Rashawn. Lol, had to do it. In this episode, we decided we fell so far behind that we're going to do our best to talk about two at once, which we all know is going to be tricky. So bear with us as we wade into the finale of Hot D. Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
All right. So we really didn't talk about our feelings about these like we do with others beforehand. What do you think of these last two episodes as a whole? Positive? Negative?
Overall positive, yes.
Okay.
I was really all over the place with my feelings with these two episodes. I really swung wildly from one end to the other.
Why is that?
I settled. Well, I think it was a couple of different things. There was, I personally and I always underestimate this part of my personality, and I continue to be surprised by it every time for reasons that make no sense. I get really anxious when I'm watching something and I know it's going to end poorly for everyone involved.
Ah, yes.
And the closer we get to this war that I've known was coming since before the show started, the more worried I get and the more uncomfortable and more discomfort I experience. At one point I was watching and I felt like I was gripping the edge of my seat, just being like, no.
Oh, poor Rashawn. Her heart can't handle this.
In a lot of ways that is 100% true. And then, also, my reactions to certain key moments, went from being especially Raina's, being like, you should burn all those motherfuckers right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then being like, okay, no, she absolutely could not do that. Then being like, see, if you had just fucking done it, it has really been a roller coaster. Okay. For me inside. But overall, positive, ready to get into season 2, which is 2 years away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall I thought it ended pretty strongly. There's a couple of things I might quibble about a little bit, but overall positive.
Okay, I feel like I'm overall generally positive in just a sort of the acting was great. We're getting where we're going. All of that. That's fine. But I will admit that I have found myself realizing that everything is a misunderstanding and a mistake and nobody intended a bad thing to happen is not doing it for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice that the show is taking where it has decided who is going to just be a flat villain,
mm-hmm.
and everybody else is just going to be sort of a victim of circumstances.
Yeah. And it's just so repeated. First, we've got the whole thing with Viserys saying something on his deathbed that completely countermands all of his actions for the past 20 years. And his wife just being like, well, obviously, that's what he meant, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't believe that Alicent would be that foolish and believe that. And it also makes her desire to put her son on the throne not ambition. It's her belief that it's what her husband wanted and a secret mission, which I would be fine with Alicent being fucking ambitious. Can we just please have somebody be a bad person that isn't also like a rapist, pedophile, murderer, something? It's
No.
we the show has a big problem with like either we're gonna make them so bad that it's hard to watch, or they're going to be softened to a point where I'm just like, well, I don't, now they just feel like maybe they're stupid.
The show did the same thing with both of these characters, which I guess is, you know, just their choice in the way they want to tell the story. I don't think it's a great choice, but you know, whatever. But they did the same thing with Rhaenyra as well, where everything that happens going forward is going to be a reaction to the death of Lucerys.
Yep.
Right. And then we have Alicent, and everything that she's doing is not based on her own personal ambition or even ambition on behalf of her son, but like you say, based on this, what we're supposed to think is a genuine misunderstanding on her part. And we've talked before about how they just seem to be taking agency from these characters in a very peculiar way, while beating their chest and bragging about how feminist these women are supposed to be. It's a very, you know what I mean? Like the show runners and creators, you know, talked incessantly about how we were going to have these two powerful women that are operating under the patriarchy, and watching them kind of try to subvert it. And then they just give us scene after scene after scene of these women actually not making choices, you know? But what can you do?
So we have like the whole thing with Alicent and her misunderstanding there. We have then in the opening of episode 9, the accidental murder of Lord Beesbury, when he says that he is not on board for this like bullshit. Have Kristen murder the man. Have him do it. What are you so afraid of? We know he just murders already. It's fine. Why? Why do you have to be pussies about it? I don't get it. It doesn't change anything.
It's so he's just murdering again in front of everybody.
And everyone's basically like, well, I guess since we wanted that guy out of the way, it's fine, and nothing is going to happen to him yet again.
I mean, yeah, he gets to fucking become the kingmaker. But all right. So it's funny too, the very first time I watched it, it didn't even occur to me that was an accident.
Oh, really?
I was just like, oh, he banged that motherfucker's head right into that ball.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be an accident.
Well, yeah, he's like shoving him back into his seat because he like yells like sit down or something. And, you know. But my thing is, you were banging that man's head against the table. It just so happened that, you know, it landed in such a way that he, you know, cracks his skull on those cute little council balls.
Now we know why those are there.
Right. I really want one of those too. I saw I didn't watch the whole thing because it ended up being like wildly spoilery for books, and I had to bounce out of the video in time. So I got really lucky. I was paying attention. But the whatever YouTube channel it was, the guy had one of those, and when he went to start his like get into his reaction for the episode, he starts by putting one of the little balls in the little disc thing, and I was just like, oh, I want one.
Yeah, it definitely feels like those were there so that we could have something for him to break his face on. It's fine.
I like all the like merchandising opportunities that have come from this series. I just feel like I haven't been taking taking advantage of them. I also want that fucking table. I want that war table.
From Dragonstone? Yeah, that's dope.
I want it real bad.
Yeah, it just looks cool. It's supposed to be that it's like iron underneath that's being heated so that it glows. which feels deeply impractical, but also, I mean, it's beautiful. So
it's beautiful. And it was really fun to see it too, because we had seen that table before, so it wasn't new, but it was like they unlocked a new achievement of the table. And it bummed me out too, because I was just like, how come we didn't see the table used that way in Game of Thrones? And I know I think I saw in the wild, one of those like public groups, somebody was like, oh, well, they probably didn't know that you could use it that way. It probably got lost to the ages. But there is a whole, cast of people in this society whose whole job it is to record shit throughout history.
Yeah.
There was not all the maesters at Dragonstone probably would have had that in the how-to book, of like, how to be the maester of Dragonstone.
The
chapter
manual
1.
of, yeah.
The fucking standard operating procedures of the maester.
I love it.
So, but it was a really cool little thing the show did.
So the way that the first one, what it focuses on is everything that they do to hide Viserys's death and prepare to crown Aegon before Rhaenyra finds out her dad is dead.
Yeah.
And before anybody can put people in place to ally with her or stop them.
Yeah, I had one of my questions at the end of episode 8 was going to be, how much time passes before word of Viserys' death, gets out, and what the Greens are going to do in the interim. And I had sort of suspected that they were going to pull something like this, but it happened so much faster than I even realized. Like they had Aegon crowned like the next fucking morning. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be that quick of a turnaround. And I also didn't think it was going to be the spectacle that it ended up being. Like I hadn't considered how they would need to make sure there were as many witnesses to the coronation to lend legitimacy to it. I thought they were going to have Viserys hidden for like a week.
I mean, in the book, that is it's like 5 days or something. It's long enough that the stench starts to attract attention and they finally have to say that he's dead.
Yeah, this shit on the show was like,
it was boom, boom, boom for sure.
And we get this real, this whole premise of one thing that the show is doing, at least I thought the show was doing, I'm not sure, maybe I read it wrong, but I think has been clear that Alicent is choosing to believe this misinterpretation of Viserys' last words. And she is expecting to have to almost fight people. She's expecting everybody to be like, oh, bitch, why you lying? And it turns out everybody is just ready to fucking go. Oh, they're like, oh, word is on? Okay, it's on.
Yeah.
And then we find out that they have been plotting this. But they did it behind Alicent's back, so she's not even part of the fucking plot. Which is another weird thing the show did.
I
what are you
hate
gonna
it.
do? What are you gonna do?
I really hate it. Like, look. What are you gonna do is not gonna cut it. You could write it so that she's part of things. That's what one gonna do.
But I mean, they didn't though.
I just don't understand the desire to keep her so like blameless in quotations. Everybody hates her anyway, and everybody blames her anyway. Just let her be ambitious and part of this. Why are you talking about how this is about women's like rule and their place in this world, and then they are just walking in on some shit that's 80% fucking done already? Why?
I like that they had Rhaenys sort of try to almost call Alicent out on that same thing. But then they didn't let Alicent respond, really. So, I guess I guess my feeling of that moment was like, oh, we're all supposed to be like understanding that Alicent does not have that ambition whatsoever, and it's never been part of her makeup. But I don't know. I think it would have been really cool if it were.
Yeah, why can't it be? I just don't really understand the desire to make her into such a distinctly, like, what feels like a spectator of her own life. It doesn't do anything to endear the audience to her for the most part, as from what I have seen of the discourse. And it makes her a lot less interesting and makes her feel a lot less smart, to be perfectly honest, that she has been so unaware of all of these doings right under her nose. I don't like it. I don't get it. I don't understand why they would choose to make it go this way. So yeah, she finds out that they have been talking about doing this to begin with, and her little like story, which they clearly all seem to think is bullshit anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like they're not even really even like, I don't even want to say pretending to believe her, because they all just sort of been like, oh, okay, sure. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
Whether it's real or not.
Yeah.
They have just been waiting for the go ahead. And I suspect we're probably going to go. My question is, if she hadn't come around to this, right? If she didn't have this misunderstanding with Viserys, I think it's very clear that the council was going to try to move in this direction anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so what this does is, if I'm taking the show at its word, then if Alicent doesn't have this misunderstanding, the council led by her father is just going to strong arm her in another fashion.
Yep.
Right? So all this did is really take away the need for them to manipulate or bully her, to run with their plan, because it seems obvious that they were going to run with this, regardless.
Yeah. We need to have her believe in what they're doing in some way. So rather than it be believing in it because she genuinely is like, Rhaenyra should not be queen, it's, but my husband told me on his deathbed a secret.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So they are, and like, I do appreciate that when she's first told that he's dead, she's obviously upset. She's genuinely mourning this man. I
agree.
And the word is brought to her by her handmaiden, who we later find out is, well, we knew pretty much, but she finds out is the one that's feeding information to her dad. And to Mysaria.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this is going on in a way that her father is perfectly aware of and is utilizing without her, which is how a lot of this plot has been handled thus far.
Mm-hmm.
So we then have the search for Prince Aegon, who has zero interest in becoming king. He does not want this.
Not even a little bit. He is like less interested in this than Jon Snow was interested in being practically anything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He doesn't want it, doesn't think he deserves it, because his father never thought he was good enough, so he's internalized that not being good enough. And is just a bit of a fucking deviant, quite frankly.
Yeah, definitely.
He's a drunken, lecherous, has all these bastards running around.
Mm-hmm. And there's like a fight with these kids that have their teeth and nails sharpened that apparently like he frequents this display quite often. And
there's some suggestions, though the show doesn't really dig into it, but there are some suggestions that his interests are so depraved they can't even be said aloud, which, it leaves the audience to fill in the blanks about exactly what this fucking guy is into.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound good. Austin shared with us in the group that I guess in the books there's suggestions that he might have even been into like fucking, like he might have been a pedophile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the show doesn't 100% go there, but it's a little bit of a nudge wink, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just not interested. And what did you think of the bit with so this episode 9 gives us what seems like Otto versus Alicent. you know?
Yeah.
And it plays out with both of them trying to get Aegon, and whoever gets him first wins, you know? But they are both the difference between Otto and Alicent really is how to deal with Rhaenyra and her family.
Mm-hmm.
That's the disagreement, because both of them are about putting Aegon on the throne, so that's not really the problem. But there's this, it feels like this is the moment where Alicent finally sees her father for what he is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and what he has used her for, which is as a pawn in his own ambition and thirst for power. I mean, right? Underwhelming.
Honestly, I'm so I when I say that I have general favorable feelings about this series, I mean that overall I feel like it was well constructed and taken for what it is. It was well done. I am not really feeling a lot of the choices that they made in detail though. And this, like, now I see you. Really? Now you do? After all this is what made you realize? Like, what are you talking about? How did you not see? Again, it makes Alicent look stupid. It makes her look clueless in a way that I thought she was supposed to have sort of grown out of already by the time we get to this particular time jump.
Mm-hmm.
I was under the impression she was meant to have fucking got on board by now and realized. And that it was the moment that her father was like, now you're playing the game. I didn't think you had it in you. That conversation after she tries to stab Rhaenyra, I thought that was the one where she was like, oh, I see now. And she just decided to get on board despite not really agreeing with the way he's handling stuff, because she's like, I truly am not on Rhaenyra's side anymore. And so I guess I have to be on my dad's side because he's working against her.
Mm-hmm.
But we have her so wishy-washy that, like, she basically gets won over in the dinner at Viserys's, like, deathbed dinner, which is what I'm going to think of it as from now on, to putting Rhaenyra on the throne after all, and thus making it, like, supposed to be more heartbreaking to her that now she has to tell everyone what Viserys really said.
Yeah.
Which, just the convoluted nature of all of this, it feels like they haven't got an idea of what they wanted her character development to be. And part of their theory was maybe to show how women were often at the whims of the men around them.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that. And that's supposed to be what we're not getting in this, was what I was hoping, at least. That we were having them at the whims, and then they would come into their own and begin to take control. And maybe that's supposed to be this moment, but I thought we had gotten there already. Yeah. It feels like the Sansa Stark coming down in her black gown and her fucking, like, level up look. But then next season, she's getting raped by Ramsay Bolton, and you're like, wait, hold on, what? It just doesn't, the way that it feels like they're portraying her character development feels undermined by what they decide to do after it.
Remind me, in the books, does this misinterpretation of his last words, is this a thing in the book?
No, this is not a thing.
Okay. All right.
She pure wants her son on the throne and kind of despises Rhaenyra, thinks that her having bastard children is super shameful, and is like, the idea of those bastards taking the throne is a perversion of her father's, like, legacy. And she absolutely should not be the one. Okay. She, like, just everything about the way she conducts herself in Alicent's mind indicates that she is not temperamentally suited to being a ruler, because she doesn't understand the, like, the sanctity of the job she's taking on.
Gotcha.
Which makes it really funny that she thinks her son is, but it works because Alicent is just so ambitious that she would do whatever. This Alicent is all over the place for me.
Yeah. It is a little, and I think too, the show, when you think about the sort of Last Supper episode, we are seeing this potential for the mending of these families, and then the last words of Viserys really just completely shifts everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have an Alicent the next morning who, like you say, is heartbroken, not just the death of Viserys, but also that she has this new information, which means that the mending that they had all thought was going to happen is impossible now.
Mm-hmm.
And now Alicent is struggling like internally with, what am I supposed to do? What is my duty? Is my duty to fulfill which of Viserys's dying wishes am I to fulfill?
Mm-hmm.
The
mm-hmm.
one that he proclaimed in front of the entire family of mending, and moving forward. Is that the dying wish, or is it the one he mumbles to me right before he dies? Which one am I beholden to?
Mm-hmm.
And there's supposed to be a real internal struggle for her,
Mm-hmm.
and that each decision is going to come with a price, and that she's going to suffer from each one. But
and I really want to emphasize, everybody, this is not me being like, they need to do what the book did. I am okay with doing the whole unreliable narrator, changing some things up. I just think the way they've chosen to handle Alicent is uninteresting as a whole. It's not that it deviates from the way she was portrayed in the book. It's that part of the enjoyment I got out of the book was the fact that it was two strong, ambitious women up against one another. And that's not what it feels like we are getting. It feels like we have one strong, ambitious woman that everybody is supporting. And by everybody, I mean most viewers. And then we have this like floppy fish person who is just tossed by the winds of fate and doesn't really see. And the idea that she would watch her husband refuse to denounce Rhaenyra for decades, up until the meal before his last night on this earth, begging for them to unite and for her to back Rhaenyra. And then when he is incoherent on his deathbed, she takes that.
Yeah.
That is what she listens to and believes. It makes her feel like a fucking moron. It doesn't make any sense. And the way everybody else is treating it, like it's, oh, okay, yeah, sure, we'll go with that. They don't care that it's even real or not. Why do it? Truly. It's just because they want her to be behind the overall, like, goal here, which could have been achieved by having her have any agency in any of this. So okay, so they find Aegon. They fucking basically like coerce him into agreeing to do this. He's like, I'm not suited for it. And his brother is like, yeah, no shit. Obviously very cranky over the fact that he himself is not going to be king.
The entire time, Aemon is just like, what would be awesome is if we don't find him. How about that? Have you guys considered, hear me out though, what if he has just gotten on a ship and poof, he's gone? I know it would be a surprise to everybody.
Yep.
But but it wouldn't be something we couldn't power through.
And like, I love Kristen just being like, well, that's, we can't do that. And I'm like, Kristen, you're over here just killing people that you feel like killing.
Yeah, clearly
whenever.
You can just do whatever the fuck you want.
If Kristen killed the king, TM, I feel like it would be absolutely fine because nobody gives a shit who Kristen kills. He's basically like invisible. Once he strikes, it doesn't count. They died of natural causes, and that's what we're going with. So they organize the coronation, and in the meantime, they're dealing with Rhaenys, who is on the property.
Yeah, the way they deal with all the High Lords that are still in King's Landing, because they have all shown up for this I don't know, whatever the thing was at court with Vaemon, this sort of declaration of who should get Driftmark, right? So there's still some fancy people in town. And Otto has them all brought to the throne room, I think, and announces that Viserys has died, and basically is like either bend the knee now or watch what happens though.
Yeah.
And one or two people refuse to bend, and they're like ushered away, into holding of some kind. Basically, they're going to be jailed.
Mm-hmm.
And we even see them murder one man who pretends to kneel and then tries to make a break for it. And the thing too is, when I was watching, and even the rewatch, I was trying to. I know there are all kinds of signs in the costuming of who's who, but I just don't know enough about everybody's sigil and shit to be like, oh, he's house so and so. But this one man, I think his name is Sir Alan, but that's all I know about him.
Okay.
Pretends to kneel and then tries to make a break for it, and they catch him before he can get through the gates. And they hang him. And they have Rhaenys locked away. So this is all treasonous shit already, you know. And there's a lot of talk about when war is going to be declared, and technically it hasn't been declared, everyone is saying. But you are murdering highborn people, forcing them to bend the knee, and jailing others.
Yes.
These are all low-key declarations of war, I think.
That was another kind of problem that I had, was that there's the suggestion that Alicent's trying to avoid war and Rhaenyra is trying to avoid war by like restraining themselves from actually going on the attack immediately. And I just think that is laughable after what happens here. That is over. The ship has sailed. War has begun. Whether or not you guys come to some sort of peaceable agreement here, I can't believe that the houses who have had their people treated the way they have are going to just sit there. Something is happening either way. Which is part of why I do think Rhaenys should have burnt their asses up. Because honestly, everything is to shit to begin with. Do it. So what? Yeah. Oh, people are going to have a problem with the fact that she killed some folks who were her own kin. I think she has dragons and is standing up for somebody whose father supported her up until his death as she's being usurped.
Right.
I do not think the history books would have a problem with anything that she did if she chose to take this entire family out here. I really don't. It's fine.
Like when the moment happened, I just was screaming at the TV, just fucking light them up, light their asses up right now.
There's a lot of talk in the discourses about like kinslaying and the curse that supposedly goes along with that. That's not really a thing in the show. The show does not give a shit about kinslaying. Nobody even talks about it when Larys kills his fucking dad and brother. It's not even brought up.
I had been reading bits and pieces of comments about how seriously supposedly the Targaryens take killing family members, but I have never that was not something that was made, really clear to me above just how it's not cool to kill your family. It's just sort of like regular shit, but I didn't know there was supposed to be anything special about it. So when people were like, no, she would never, especially without direct order, she would never just like burn her family members. But the bit about like it's not her place to start the war, I was like, all right, I get that. And then when we go to episode 10 and we see how reluctant they have Rhaenyra being about starting a war, I was like, all right, what if Rhaenys had showed up and been like, this is what I just did? The Rhaenyra they showed me at the beginning of episode 10 would not have abided that. I just don't believe she would have been okay with it, because they're telling me that Rhaenyra is, desperately wants to keep the realm united and knows her father would not have wanted his children and his wife murdered in that fashion. Right?
So
because
you think that had Rhaenyra shown up and told her, I did this.
If Rhaenys had lit them all up at the coronation and then flown back to Dragonstone and been like, this is what I did, the Rhaenyra that they showed us, I believe, would have been horrified. Because even after Rhaenyra gets the news, and we're jumping right to episode 10, but even after Rhaenyra gets the news of how they have usurped the throne, she has that whole argument with Daemon where he's like, isn't that enough? And she's like, no, it's not. So I don't believe that Rhaenyra would have forgiven Rhaenys and probably would have tried to hold her to some sort of justice. I don't know what that would have looked like, but yeah. But that's because the show has decided that Rhaenyra is, again, not just about having the throne because it's hers to have.
Mm-hmm.
She's about having it because it comes with this great responsibility of uniting and protecting the realm. You know,
Yeah.
she doesn't get evil eyes until the end of the episode after her son is murdered, you know?
Yeah. And, despite having had a horrific miscarriage due to the shock of the news being brought to her, the decision to sort of have that miscarriage still happen, but it isn't as much of a motivating factor. In the book, it feels like that is part of what drives her, is she blames the news for losing her child. And it's like, they stole my throne and they stole my kid. And I'm going to fucking pay them back for it. But they have the miscarriage anyway. And it's really not a factor in her overall, like, motives.
It doesn't change her direction, at least.
No.
You know. But again, we like went right to the finale.
Which is, I think that's fine, because we're not going to do a piece by piece coverage. There's no way.
All right.
We can't. We're doing broad strokes, and what the way that everything winds up, there's no way to not talk about both, because the one is all focused on Alicent and the other's all focused on Rhaenyra.
That's true. And it's supposed to be covering the same sort of amount of time, the same just couple of days, you know. So when they go out after Aegon to find him in the fucking gutter,
fucking literally,
they send Otto sends the Erics, who I'm just going to call them the Erics.
That's fair.
And Alicent, of course, calls on Kristen, and then Aemon accompanies him. And there is something going on with the Erics that I don't think I didn't really see coming. So they're both Kingsguard, but only one of them is assigned to Aegon. And I don't know if the other one is assigned to another member of the family.
Yeah, one is sworn to Aegon and one is sworn to Rhaenyra.
No, at the beginning of this, they're both in King's Landing, right? So I'm confused, because Otto entrusts both of them to go after Aegon. And their whole time that they spend in King's Landing, one of them is trying to convince the other brother, look what a complete piece of shit he is.
Mm-hmm.
You see that he can't be king, right?
Maybe they decided not to have it be that he was sworn to Rhaenyra, because that's in the book. They are each sworn to different people, and they wind up having to make their choices and go separate ways. And
then the fact that Otto entrusts both of them on this secret mission, that tells me this is why I'm like, he can't be sworn. Like, he might be sworn to Rhaenyra in the general sense that all the Kingsguard are sworn to whoever is on the throne, but I mean like his actual active duty role in the Red Keep is what I'm talking about.
I don't think who he's sworn to would factor in for Otto, because Otto, I think, believes that the Kingsguard are going to do what the fuck they're told, and doesn't believe that anybody's going to have the kind of like honor that would cause them to flee, essentially. I think that Otto genuinely would not see that coming.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, that, again, they may have just changed it up. But really all it comes down to is that the twin brothers each are supporting totally different people and decide that they are going to go separate ways.
All right. Well, they send them both into King's Landing after Aegon, and later on we see one of them, but I can't remember which is which, shows up at Dragonstone and recommits, you know, like retakes his oath. to Rhaenyra, which I thought was a really good moment of the show. But it made me sad because that means there's going to be like brother on brother violence at some point. And nobody wants to see that.
I mean, I think everybody wants to see that. That sounds like what we're here for mostly. Everybody's related in this conflict already, even if it's only half brothers.
That's true. When they're fighting and Kristen is like, "Where's your brother?" and his is nowhere to be found.
I can't. There is a moment where they go to this brothel and ask if Aemond was here, and she says like years ago, and then the woman who owns it gives Aemond a like once over and just goes, "How you've grown." And I could not stop cackling the idea that she is like, "Where have you been? Why haven't you come down?" And he like looks at her and he doesn't answer. He just sort of grunts in a way that I couldn't interpret. I was like, is he flattered? Is he interested? Is he offended or insulted? I couldn't tell how he felt about this, but
it felt like he like this is like this memory that he's kind of sharing with Kristen was they're going to this particular house. And he's talking about how Aegon basically dragged him there to get his dick wet for the first time. It does not seem like it is a pleasant memory. Like it's not something that he looks back on and is happy about or thinks is a good time that he had with his older brother. So when she mentions that, it looks to me like what is like. It's almost like it's weird to have a witness to something that he believes is like so beneath him.
Okay, gotcha.
And she also is just like they're like they try to get some more information from her, and she like does this really deft kind of like, I don't know what to tell you about that.
I did not get where I am by having loose lips, sir.
Basically, but I wish you all the luck in all your future endeavors.
Yeah, basically. Let's go to the scene with Mysaria, because I don't know what this bitch's accent. She needs to knock it off. She is British. She's making this accent up. And I don't know what she's doing. The first time we meet her, she sounds very French. In this, she almost sounds like Jamaican. There's like a Caribbean sound. I saw somebody was in the comments on Facebook saying that she was East Asian representation. And I don't know if that is like the actual actress's descent. I thought that they were saying that about her accent. And I was just like, all right, none of us know what her accent is then. And I know that that's part of the point. It's supposed to be an accent from like a fictional country. But it is wildly different to me in this scene than it was in the scene with her and Daemon earlier this same season. It feels like a totally different accent. It
has a real sort of Jar Jar Binks kind of whatever that fucking character's name was.
Yeah, no, that's him.
Thing. I think I said in the same comment thread that I just am wildly curious about the direction for this performance. Whose idea was it? Who said, yeah, that's it, now just lean into it a little bit more? And why? Why was this the choice? And my question was it just to sort of emphasize that she is an other compared to the people who are here, right? We want to have a big sign over her head that blinks in neon, foreigner, foreigner, foreigner. And this is what they did. This is the choice they made, which is just unfortunate.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the actress speak. I meant to look and see if she was in any of the like the afters, behind the scenes, or whatever, because I had no idea she was British. Like if that's her normal speaking voice was the British accent. I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy to me that they were like, all right, cut. And then like wrap it or whatever it is you say when you think a scene is good and you want to keep it.
Yes. Yeah, it's so distracting. And she is meant to be, it's unfortunate to me because she's like a champion of the people is kind of the role that they have her playing. She's telling them, I will give you information on where to find him in exchange for you shutting down these fucking hideous fights between children.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, who can't get behind that?
I mean, honestly, I feel like you didn't need to have to trade a prince for that. That's just some regular shit y'all should be doing.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And I like the sort of and this is a thing too, right? And I guess the whole reason that they have this scene with her reminding Otto of like the small folk fucking matter, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the whole town getting herded in to witness this coronation. But then because they've been forced to be there, they're the fucking ones who bear the real brunt of Melis popping up through the fucking bottom of the, you know, the fucking floor.
Surprise.
So at the end of the day, I'm just like, well, maybe the small folk want to just be left the fuck out of all this bullshit.
They do.
How about that?
They do. The scene where she busts through the floor is also not from the source material. They added this.
Oh. How is Rhaenys locked away as they're hiding Viserys' death in the books? Does she have to escape some way, or is that not a thing at all? Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure she's not locked up with them. Oh. I reread this section for these 2 episodes pretty recently, and that doesn't ring a bell. But feel free to correct me, obviously, Austin, if it was set up this way and she just got out of it in a different way. But yeah, I don't think that there was any need for her to like make an escape, or if she did, it just happened without incident and she just got out. I
don't know the particulars. I had a lot of weird logistical questions throughout these 2 episodes, and that's usually your jam.
Mm-hmm.
But I meant to rewind the scene because there are several murder cloaks that make appearances in this episode. Yeah. I love that there's probably a clothing stall, and all they do is make murder cloaks. Because Aemon is wearing one, and then we see Rhaenys. She's more in like a blanket deal. They don't give her like the hooded cloak. But is Rhaenys escaping in her dragon rider gear? Because I feel like when Eric comes and whisks her away, she's just in like regular clothes. But then when she pops up on Melis, she's in her full riding gear. So I'm like, well, maybe they keep the riding gear down in the dragon pits. Is that like, when did she change clothes though? And then at the very ending, and it's so funny, like at the very end of the finale, that like, you know, that incredible scene of Daemon giving Rhaenyra the news about Luke, I was so goddamn distracted because all I could think was, how the fuck do they know what happened? How did they get news? How did they know what happened?
Oh.
How do they know what happened? It's a real question.
I don't know. That is not a question I can answer. I assume chunks of the dragon just floated the rest of the way home, and they used DNA to validate that it was the dragon.
There was no witnesses. And so in my brain, I'm like, all right, well, maybe, you know, the dragon chunks, it's horrible. I don't want to ever say that those 2 words together again. Maybe they just rained down on some unsuspecting town. It felt very much like this happened over water. You know, I really can't say for sure because everything is in the clouds. But my feeling of this whole adventure with the dragons felt like it was happening like over the sea. And when I went to like Google, I like, how did the news get to Rhaenyra and Daemon about what happened to Lysandre? I couldn't find anything. Usually there's like wild theories will pop up, you know, as soon as you type anything in.
Right.
But what did pop up is everybody is obsessed with how does Aemon play what happened.
Right.
That's what everybody's talking about. Does he say it was an accident? Does he pretend he did it on purpose? You know, what does he tell the world about what really happened? But the way the show ends, we don't see any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Daemon and Rhaenyra get this devastating news. And I cannot think of anything else So somebody please comment and tell me how the fuck they found out.
Yeah, that's interesting because like if the whole thing is that he is going to like spin it a certain way, but he also somebody knew enough to be able to deliver the news, then somebody knows something.
Mm-hmm.
And is it supposed to be quite a time jump before they got the news? And
Next
that's
question.
they're hearing what the way that Eamon decided to play it, and that's the version they're getting?
Exactly, right? So like there must have been some kind of time jump of some kind. And Eamon gets back to King's Landing and tells the news. And maybe the news isn't like, maybe somebody overhears and secrets out, you know, sends a raven on the low or however the fuck. But I just could not get past it because it doesn't seem like any real time has passed. There's nothing, there's no context, you know?
Yeah.
It just goes from the dragon bits to like a scene with literally.
The dragon bits could mean so many things.
With like literally no dialogue. There's last like, you know, 90 seconds on screen. There's nothing, you know? So, but anyway, y'all let me know. Let a bitch know because I.
Yeah, I have to assume she's hearing the already spun version of it. Yeah. And there's a lot of theory about it as well because like the text has it be purposeful. That he
I read that.
went and tracked this kid down, full intent to kill him. And it could be either unreliable narrator or it could be that we're seeing what actually happened and Eamon decides to spin it that it was on purpose because otherwise he has to admit that his dragon was out of control and he does not want anybody to know that. But
between me and you, if I was going to like go on record as like, how do I think it's going to get played? I 100% think that, okay, I think maybe Eamon tells his mother the truth because it seems like they have that kind of relationship. And then they together, the two of them decide, well, nope, I already talked myself out of it, y'all.
Uh-oh.
Okay, because at first I was going to be like, he tells his mom what really happened. And at first Allison is distraught, you know, and wants the truth to come out. But then maybe her and Eamon or Eamon and her father are like, no. We have to have a stronger position. We can't admit that he lost control because that makes us look weak. So then I am, in my imagination, this is another thing where Allison ends up being torn apart internally by, you know, desperately wanting to let Rhaenyra know that she would never, ever, you know, condone murdering one of Rhaenyra's children and how deeply sorry she is. But the powers that be tell Allison, no, you can't tell her that, you know. And so I hope they don't do that because
that sucks.
That, you know, another season of her, you know, wanting to do the right thing but being surrounded by men who are basically insisting that she play it a different way. So yeah, I'm really curious now. Maybe Eamon just saunters back in, because if he just rolls back into King's Landing, like, yeah, I did that shit, then isn't he also in the same position that we're all kind of judging Rhaenys for? Like, oh, so you just started a war, though. We all sat around and said Rhaenys couldn't start a war because that'd be wrong. But you just out here starting a war.
And kinslaying, which we're going to be maybe okay with.
Yeah,
if it's you.
Yeah, so how about that? I wonder if the tone and talk of the town, you know what I mean? Because we really did, is when I say we, I just mean all of us on social media, right? We're very much like, oh, Rhaenys can't just, it's not her call. And if
when I say the discourse, I'm not talking about Discord. I'm talking about everywhere when I say that, by the way. I just want to let everybody know that. Because the Discord has its own conversations that honestly are a lot more sensible than most of the other places I have been. I can't believe some of the fucking Aemond is actually the Night King fucking theories that I see being thrown. What? Why? What?
Oh, because of the way he's dressed.
It's the stupidest theory I've ever heard in my life. We know where the Night King came from. We saw it in the other show. We saw the man that got turned into, like, what are you even talking about? People are fucking idiots. Anyway.
I didn't know that was a thing people were saying.
Yes, it's either Aemond or Daemon. People
really
are going
funny.
back and forth. And this is honestly the reason that I'm like relieved that the show is over, is that the discourse online is so exhausting to me, to see how many people just throw out the wildest theories. So they support characters for reasons that are not supported within the show itself. They're like citing motivations that are not there. I am tired of the opinions of idiots.
Did you see that that tweet that went around? It was somebody took a picture and it was Viserys in like his royal wear, and his one arm is like missing, right? Because he lost the lower part of his arm.
Right.
She took that screenshot, and then she put it next to, or I'm saying she, I'm sorry, I don't know the tweeter, the person. They took that screenshot and then put it next to the screenshot of Viserys like in his bed, that one where he doesn't have a shirt on, that body double scene. It was just like, oh my God, look at him.
Okay.
And the person was like, so HBO just forgot and and he grew her arm back. But the person who tweeted it, what they didn't realize was the screenshot they used. Viserys lost his arm like from beneath the elbow. So they were accusing HBO of like a continuity error.
Ah.
But really they just weren't paying attention.
Oopsies.
But they got like all these thousands and thousands of likes. And then finally people started being like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What even are you talking about? And then the whole thread turned against the OP. It was...
that is a perfect example. Perfect example. I'm just tired. This is like the same energy after season 5 of Game of Thrones, where shit went so left and I was just not for it anymore. And there were people who were in my comments every week with multi-paragraph justifications for what was happening. And I just couldn't be bothered. Like by the time it wrapped, I was so done. And it's a shame. I don't want to feel like that, but here we are. So, all right. Trying to get back into like the overall narrative stream, because we have been jumping around, which is totally fine, but I want to make sure that there's nothing significant that we that we failed to mention. There's the conversation between Alicent and Rhaenyra, and we brought that up a little bit.
Wait, when does Alicent and Rhaenyra?
Not Rhaenyra, Alicent and Rhaenys. I keep doing that. I keep calling her Rhaenyra. Where she's trying to convince Rhaenys to be on her side.
Yeah.
But she cites the fact that Rhaenys should have been queen as part of the, and I'm like, yeah, see, you're saying that to somebody while you're in the middle of taking away another woman's throne. I feel like that's not the play that you think it is. That
was what was really interesting to me too, is that she is telling Rhaenys that, yeah, I loved my husband and he was a kind man, but we all know you would have made the better queen by temperament, everything. Like he would have been happy being a rich old guy with his Legos and his books. Mm-hmm. But you are telling me how I would have been a better queen and was better equipped to be queen than the man who ended up becoming king, in service of trying to install somebody who we all know shouldn't fucking be king. Mm-hmm. So it's just a weird argument that you are making right now. And you are all
very
over the
weird.
place.
Very weird.
But Rhaenys was like, I never thought you would say that shit to me, Alicent Hightower. And I don't know, that really made me laugh for some reason, calling her a Hightower. Just
yeah.
But Rhaenys is just like, all of this shit you're saying, you're still just working for all these fucking men, though, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Everything all your scheming, all your, everything is just a direction and in the service of the men around you, whether it was your husband or your father or your son. Mm-hmm. So really, what are you even doing in my face right now?
Yep. That's a good question.
It is a question of the ages, y'all.
And I wish that it had been brought up a little bit more, the like context of what Allison is saying in light of what's actually happening here. I just find it weird how obvious that context is, but it's not addressed at all.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you mention that?
Yeah.
Rhaenys, the woman who is so intelligent, isn't going to bring that up? Come on. So, and then we have the actual crowning, and it turns out that Aegon is choosing the crown of the Conqueror, which is not the crown that Viserys wore.
I felt like that wasn't even his choice. I feel like the people behind Otto, that was Otto.
Okay.
I 100% believe that was fucking Otto Hightower. Especially later on when he fucking throws all that shit, you know. But, oh wait, maybe I'm giving it. Oh, you know what? I think that's Alice. Wait, when Alicent tells Otto that Aegon's going to be crowned tomorrow, and she says something very specific about how it's going to be at dawn in front of, the masses. Does she say he's going to get those? Maybe Alicent is the one who says it.
But regardless, that's what leads to Rhaenyra getting her father's crown to wear, because the dudes that bounce in her favor, they have stolen that one. So she's wearing the one that's like significant personally.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate that she got to do that. Like, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice for her.
They made sure that when he is crowned, he is covered. He's dripping in Targaryen everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the things Alicent says too, is that Aegon is going to be wrapped in like the glory of the Targaryen name. I think that's why she wanted him to have, the crown and the sword. It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things to lend legitimacy to him. Which when you think about it, like, y'all are really trying hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because we are all aware, that this motherfucker shouldn't be king.
Very much so. And there's an interesting. So first, in the original text, they crown both him and his wife Helena as queen at the same time.
Oh, I was going to ask about that.
But they don't do that here. They just have it be him, which that's fine. I don't really have an issue with it in particular. I would have been interesting to see how Helena reacted, and maybe that's what they didn't really know what to do with. But because she's in the background of his coronation, flinching away from the like spectacle and the crowds and the noise, like she's just got sensory overload, which may very well be what is supposed to be happening there. And Aegon is feeling extremely unsure of himself until the crowds begin to cheer for him. Yeah. And then he does his like sword thrust into the air and is like, actually, maybe this kingship won't be so bad after all.
He's like when you fucking a band is on the road and they like yell out the name of the town they're playing in because it's a really easy way to get the crowd excited. Hello, Detroit.
Oh my
God.
How
are you feeling tonight?
We haven't played to a crowd as good as Springfield.
Exactly.
We know that the people of Springfield are the best audience there is.
100%.
So yeah, he gets very into it in this moment. And then we see the sort of like, the expression on Alicent's face, and there's like a sense of relief, but it really doesn't feel like she's 100% about this at all. It just feels like she's going, this is what Viserys wanted. It's Viserys. He wanted this. You remember that that's what he wanted. And she just keeps having to remind herself because she knows that this is not a good deal.
She definitely just is conflicted all the time, it feels like, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe this is on purpose because I often feel like I don't know where she really stands. Alicent, I mean, you know? And maybe that's by design. Maybe we're supposed to really believe that even she doesn't know what she wants. I mean, I don't know it definitely makes watching the show, watching her, confusing for me a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I will sometimes just be like, wait, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't seem in line with what you told me about yourself an episode ago. So when she's on that stage, feels weird to call it a stage, but when they're on the stage at the coronation,
The dais.
Yes, that's better. You're right. It's like when they're in the carriage on the way, and she has that moment with Aegon, and he's talking about how, like, my father didn't want this and all this. And she's like trying to convince him that he is worthy, which is also a really weird scene because Aegon is right. He had 20 years to tell me he wanted this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally never did. And now here you are the morning that he died telling me he wanted it. And he doesn't buy it.
And I don't get why Allison does either. She doesn't have an argument except for, I heard it. I heard it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you heard something. And he says, Aegon, at one point, which, bitch, you know how many of them there have been. Why would you even just taking a name? Don't do that. And also the ramblings of a man who is incoherent. Don't do that either. And then third, the ramblings of a man who is saying something in direct contrast to the way he lived his entire life. Yeah. Don't do that either. And it really is kind of funny in light of the fact that, like, Beesbury gets murdered just after saying, I have known this man my whole life. And I do not believe for a second that he would suddenly do an about face. And like, oh, but the woman who was married to him, who should also know him quite well, believes it. Mm-hmm. So I guess, fuck me.
Yeah, it's like that, like having this war pop off based on a misunderstanding. I think the show was like, wouldn't it be tragic if?
Yeah.
And yeah, it is tragic. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But you're right, it definitely is tragic.
That's the thing, because that's also, you know, the way that Rhaenyra's son dies is a tragic accident also. And I don't necessarily like just the fact that we're making so many things an accident is what bothers me. If his death were an accident and it wound up being spun a certain way, I think that could be interesting. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they have done that so much for so many key moments, that they're doing it again with Aemond, now I'm like, this is just like you guys being wishy-washy about how much you want us to dislike certain characters.
And you know what really sucks too, that just popped into my head, is that even though I don't really like this idea of everything, that our main characters are mostly just reacting to unfortunate circumstances, the one thing I really liked about the dragon fight, and other than like how cool it looked and everything, is I like the reminder, or not the reminder, but like the getting to see in real time the whole thing about how we really do not control these dragons, right? I really appreciated getting to see what that looks like. That, yeah, you know, they're dragon riders and they're Targaryens and blah 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 blah, but the dragon is its own thing and can and will do what the fuck it wants to do if it comes down to it. The only thing is, I wish it hadn't been demonstrated in this particular instance.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because we did get that whole thing from Viserys earlier in the season about, like, you know, how Targaryens are dependent on dragons and it's a power they probably should have left alone. And so I like seeing, like, yeah, we've gotten really used to dragons being basically like pets that just do our bidding, right? They just Dracarys on fucking cue. And I liked being like, oh, these are whole ass, you know, weapons of mass destruction.
Yep.
That you need to be really fucking careful with. I just, like I said, I wish that the example that the show gave us wasn't Lucerys and Aemond, because that is has such consequences. And having someone murder someone else and then just be like, oh, well, my dragon was just really out of control now.
Yeah. So do you think he's going to spin it as he did it on purpose?
Like I said earlier, I think he's probably going to tell his mom. For some reason, I think he tells his mom the truth. I don't know. I just got this sense that her and Eamon are really close. And I don't know if I'm even basing that on anything that the show has shown me explicitly. But there's something about the two of them that are so similar, you know? They're both so, Allison and Eamon, I mean, really like...
bound by duty.
I thought that was the exact words I was about to say. Bound by duty, and very sort of self-righteous about that. That they take their duties so much more seriously than everybody else. No one else understands the sacrifice and the burden, you know. And also this resentment of people who, like Aemon's resentment to Aegon, who is inheriting this great thing and doesn't deserve it, is really a mirror of Allison's feelings about Rhaenyra up until like the last two episodes where she just did a 180. But you know that, and they seem so to be such parallels that it feels to me like Aemon and Allison off screen have bonded in this way that their personalities kind of overlap. You know, this sort of like, he has a great respect for his mother, and she seems to have a great respect for him because they both handle themselves in the same way, you know? So for that reason, I feel like he maybe tells her what really happened. And then that's why I think that she might end up, Allison, you know, feeling very guilty, maybe wanting to tell Rhaenyra that, my God, we never meant to do this. We would never murder your children, you know. We were trying to, like, I was doing everything in my power to avoid this, you know, and it was a terrible accident. And then in my imagination, I see a Laris or an Otto coming in and being like, absolutely not. We cannot tell them. It was a tragic accident, but we can't bring Lucerys back. So we might as well, you know, just pretend like we meant to fucking do it, because to admit it was an accident and to admit Aemon lost control of Vhagar would just make us look fucking weak as shit, and we can't have that.
So Aemon would be forced to play it to the public like it was on purpose. I
believe that the public statement is going to be,
So my question is, does Aemon tell his mother with the intent of then everyone knowing that this was an accident, or does Aemon tell his mother with the intent of then lying to everybody else? What do you think he is going to want to do versus what they like decide is going to happen?
In my imagination, he comes to his mother and he's really upset about what has happened. Not that he's, I mean, like, I don't mean that he's like broken up about the fact that Lucerys is necessarily dead, or even that he killed them, but that Aemon knows he has done something that is not only out of line, but will have wide-reaching implications. And I think he comes to his mother very contrite about it.
Okay.
Which might be a weird take because he doesn't seem contrite about anything, and he's, you know, demanding an eye is a debt and all this other kind of shit. But the way that the show ended up having us see Aemon not choose to do this, I think is because it's because I think Aemon understands his place. You know what I mean? Even though he thinks his place isn't right, like he thinks he deserves to be higher up, he understands that he's not. And like his mother, he's very duty bound, you know? So I think he is contrite. I don't think he comes back to King's Landing thinking that, yeah, I'm going to tell everybody what the fuck I did and tell them all I did that shit on purpose so they can all be scared of me, you know, fuck them. I don't think that's how it goes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and I find it interesting too because like we saw the scene where he loses his eye. He picks up a rock and looks like he is about to kill a child. He looks like he is 100% about it. The scene where he is going after this kid's eye. He seems, despite having said it was a fair trade and I got a dragon,
Yeah.
to be like, no, I am taking that fucking eye out of your head. That is happening.
Yeah. I think too, maybe one of the reasons why I'm thinking that he's going to approach it the way I think he is, as far as, not like swinging back in the King's Landing, with like, yeah, look what the fuck I just did, is because so far he's been really aggressive, but we've never seen him cross the line. And usually it's because someone is there to hold him back. But also, like, he's had a lot of opportunities to just go fucking rogue. You know, everything be damned. And he never actually does it. He's always provoking and pushing and, you know what I mean? Always, like, sticking his thumb in somebody's eye, but never crosses the line. There's something that keeps him from doing that. And I think that internal thing that keeps him from crossing the line is just sort of his, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, that he inherited from his mother, I will say this, though. This is what is sort of interesting to me, is because he is always pushing that line. Once he crosses it, and now that he has, and now that his provocation has resulted in some real fucking consequences, I think like the genie might be out of the bottle, right? Like, now that he's actually done the fucking thing that he's been like threatening to do for all these years, whether it's like getting the eye back out of revenge or whatever the fuck, he's now finally, for the first time, really like fucking done a thing. And okay, I'm wondering if that's gonna, like, how is that gonna taste,
All right, so I feel like we can go from this point, because like the way that this episode ends is Rhaenys coming through the floor. She towers over everybody on her dragon, and Alicent basically bows her head in preparation to fucking die. Then her dragon roars at them, but does not burn them up.
Yeah, she gets right in there. Real quick, I got to the part. It is Alicent who declares that Aegon is going to get the
Conqueror's crown.
Yeah, the sword. Okay. That's her call. And when Rhaenys is staring them right in the face on top of Meleys, and Alicent stands in front of Aegon, and then she like closes her eyes as if like this is it. It almost felt like
a relief?
A little bit. Almost, and her face was like, I may kind of deserve this.
Yeah. Yep. To me, there's definitely a sense of like, all right, well, this is how it's going to end. At least it's fucking over. Yeah, and there's probably also just like, well, if we're gonna die, at least we're all dying together.
Yeah. So I do want to mention too, before we go to the next episode, is we lose Beesbury, but also Sir Westerling, because he's about that life for real. Tells all of these people, y'all wildin'. And I don't know if you know, but it literally says Kingsguard. So like, I am about whoever's on the throne, and just give me a ring-a-ding when you get this shit sorted out.
Give me a ring-a-ding.
He does not want any part of this plotting, this what does that guy call it? He calls them darkling plans.
Yeah.
That's going to be my next username next time I have to sign up for something.
That's the name of a pretty popular character in the Grisha series and the Shadow and Bone Darkling.
Oh, is it?
So just warning that people are going to think that you know that series, and you're going to get a lot of questions.
It's probably already taken, and I have to be Darkling like 696969.
Oh, 420 Darkling Queen. So, okay, next episode, we have mentioned that this one is mostly about Rhaenyra and her POV throughout the same like period of time. She is talking to her youngest, who is not long for this world, about him taking over Driftmark, and he is so just he is saying the same thing as that, what is his name, as Lannister was basically like, well, he doesn't know how to command a fleet, when Beesbury was like, yeah, and when has that ever mattered?
Right.
Succession is. But yeah, this kid is very much like,
yeah,
this is I'm gonna embarrass myself is the vibe.
This poor little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he just, the whole time we have known him, it has felt like he does not want any part of any of the shit. He is it for whatever reasons, and there has been some conversation around exactly what it is for Lucerys that makes him feel like why does he have the worst case of imposter syndrome of anybody in this entire universe, it seems like, right? And I've seen some people say it's because he knows who his father is, and he has great insecurity around the fact that he's not a legitimate, heir. And that even though the rest of this universe, at least on the side of the blacks, have all decided that doesn't matter, even his brother told him an episode or two ago that it doesn't matter. It does matter for Lucerys, and he has so much insecurity around the fact that he is not trueborn, that people know it, and he feels like these things that people are saying are his birthright, he knows they're not. And it is crazy, and it must be crazy feeling to be a little kid, and it's like gaslighting in reverse.
Yep.
And it's so fucking sad. It is. He just and everybody's like, oh, it doesn't matter what's real, it doesn't matter what's true, all that matters is what we say. And he is just like, but no, that's nonsense. That's poppycock. It doesn't make any sense what you're saying. And the whole world is just like, nah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Poppycock. I really, the vibe for him as well, this is just all this comes down to is monarchy is bad, actually. Is even if I were the legitimate heir, I am not good for the job, man. This isn't for me. And there are people out there who would be good at it and want it. I am neither of the two things, good at it or wanting it. Why do I have to do this?
Yeah.
This is stupid.
And here she comes with, well, we don't get to choose our destiny. Don't we?
Yeah, that is some horse shit.
That is Lucerys' reply.
Basically.
Are you sure? Have you tried it?
He says, grandsire let you choose whether you were going to be his heir.
Yeah.
Is that how that went? I'm genuinely asking, because I don't remember it going, hey, Rhaenyra, do you want this?
It does not. That is not how it went.
It feels like it was just something that he said from the beginning, because he didn't have a male heir. And she constantly felt insecure because it seemed as if he wasn't really prepping her the way he would be a boy.
Right.
And eventually he lost his wife because he low-key murdered her and was like so guilty over it that he decided to double down. And the whole time Rhaenyra was shirking duties that she was supposed to have if she were going to be queen. All of the vibe of what she's telling him and how like she didn't want it either is not the truth at all.
The closest we get to this being the truth is in the episode 8 when she visits Viserys in his bed and she starts to waver and talk about how it's such a burden and maybe she doesn't want it and all that kind of stuff. But that's close to 20 years after she was named heir, That is a moment of Rhaenyra having a moment of doubt and being overwhelmed and her father being on his deathbed and all the strife and everything. But the way she's talking to Lucerys as if that she chose this. And she really didn't. Yeah. I don't think, I mean, but also the show made it very clear from the beginning that she kind of always wanted it, though.
That's the part. She's talking about it as if like it was something that she reluctantly accepted. And I'm like, we start the show with you already knowing you're the heir and being very resentful of the fact that you're not being treated properly as heir. I don't get, like, I think maybe that this is just supposed to be mom encourages son.
I think so too. Yeah.
And it's not really that deep, but I just kept kind of being like, am I misremembering how that all went?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's supposed to be about a moment of her trying to shore him up and encourage him. It's just that she chose to do it in a way that doesn't really serve him in this moment, which is often what happens with parents, right? They don't always give us what we really need in the moment, even though they think that they are doing like their best. Like I think it's really clear that she believes she's giving him the counsel that he can hold on to and that will help him through these sort of growing pains and help him believe that he does, that he's worth and that he's worthy, of this station. Because that seems to be at the root of it, is that he just doesn't think that he's worth any of this, But but the way she picks to express that to him is really, it leaves a lot to be desired. It doesn't really address
any of his actual concerns here.
Yeah. And also it's funny because what she does in that moment is sort of lean back on, well, it's your destiny and your bloodline and by birth and everything. But how can he take that seriously?
Yeah. Yep.
Because his main thing is knowing that none of that is really true.
Yeah, there's a sort of sense of just like, well, you having this blood is going to mean that there's an instinctive knowledge that you will acquire once you like come of age that you will suddenly possess. And I hate to say it, but bruh looks like he would just kind of be bad for the job.
I mean,
and other people do want it.
That's a real recurring theme, right? This idea of people being suited for a particular role and other people getting it and, because of reasons, TM, whether it's, succession or gender or, whatever. So you have Aegon, being forced into this role of king. We have the conversation about Rhaenys, and how she was better suited to be queen than Viserys was. We have Lucerys being really pushed to grow into this role that he has no interest in, and doesn't, I mean, he's still quite young. I'm not saying he could not have grown into a young adult who could have better filled out this role, but at this age, he is ill-equipped for any of this.
Indeed.
It's just like a fucking carousel of people, going around that are being put into positions that they really shouldn't be in.
And maybe it's like purposeful in that most of those positions that they shouldn't be in and don't want to be in, there are women who are quite competent that would be perfect, but simply because of who they are, can't even be considered for the job.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to look at it too. It would have been kind of cool if the show had leaned into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, really, we only have the 3 strong female leads anyway at this point. Rhaenys and Rhaenyra and Alicent. I guess there's great potential in the next season for the daughters, Bella and Rhaena, to kind of grow into a role. Maybe we'll, you know what I mean? Like maybe we'll see them as like viable alternatives. But yeah, right now we just have a bunch of boys and men arguing.
Boys to men.
I desperately wanted to try to say that sentence without saying that sentence, but there was no way around it, y'all. My apologies.
So this is when she gets interrupted. Rhaenys has come to deliver this news.
She just comes right out too. There is no fucking dilly-dallying with Rhaenys Targaryen. And I am, for one, here for it.
Yeah, she is about her business.
She walks in this room in her freshest dragon riding gear, and it's just like, Viserys is dead. I don't even think there's a good morning. It just, Viserys is dead.
Viserys is dead. They stole your crown. And do you have anything to eat? I am really hungry.
Yeah, it's I read in the, you know, somewhere that this line is
in the, you know, somewhere.
This line that is from about how they killed my father and stole his throne is a line from Rhaenyra in the book, but they gave it to Daemon on the show. I don't know how accurate that is.
I mean, I'll look it up now just to see. But I told you about her, like, just they stole my throne and they killed my child and they're going to answer for it.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's the same bit that people were referring to then.
It might be. Like I said, I had just been rereading it, so I am going to track this down just to see. Mm-hmm. But like, the vibe is extremely different. Here, she is basically retires to see what she's working with. And
wait, what do you mean? I'm sorry.
Rhaenyra, like, she's like, we need to figure out who our allies are, and I'm not declaring war until I know where I stand. I'm not sending anybody out to die until I have a good handle on the overall, like, shape of the situation. If there's a way around this, I will take it. Right. But in the book, she is for war immediately. Okay. And there is just absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm trying to find the spot. Oh my God, I love this too. The discussion of, like, how things went with Beesbury is another one of those, like, Mushroom says this and the Septon says that kind of situations. And Mushroom also suggests the thing that Alicent, that Beesbury accuses Alicent of, which is basically like, he was fine yesterday. What did you guys do? Mushroom is like, yeah, she poisoned him to death. He was not on his deathbed the same way. He was, like, in bad shape. So I understand Beesbury's suspicions. I would have the same exact suspicions.
Really? It's so funny. I laughed when he was like, how do we know he didn't die on his own? And I was just like, did y'all see him?
The thing is, if it were only that, but it's that combined with, now she's saying he said this thing on his deathbed, nobody. So that would make me go, oh, really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, it would feel it would be too convenient to me.
Yeah.
But
the show has Rhaenys delivering this news and then it triggering this early labor, like, immediately. So the first hours of Rhaenyra finding out that her father is dead and they've stolen the throne from her is spent in this yet another agonizing childbirth scene, which Austin promised that this is the last one. So I will be holding you to that, sir.
I'm not really sure why they included it if it wasn't going to be part of her motivation the way that it is in the book. I find that kind of weird.
Tragic.
Again.
Because now she has lost a father and a baby, and yet she's still willing to try to broker some type of peace and not rush headlong into, destruction. So I guess these are all supposed to be showing us what kind of person she is, and how much, I don't know, how much loss she suffers. And maybe also that having lost so much is making her, I don't know, more appreciative of life and not wanting to just go and burn an entire city to the ground. They give her that line a little bit later, like she doesn't want to be the queen of ash and bone.
Ashes and bone, yeah.
So it doesn't seem like the miscarriage or the early birth and the loss of the baby is motivating her towards vengeance at all. At least that's how I read it. It doesn't seem like that is what happens with her at the least. Even after she's lost this baby, the rest of the episode, she's still, she tells Otto she'll consider those terms. She chastises the men in the war room about like how they just want to rush into the fucking, burning everything to the ground, and her job is to unite the realm.
Mm-hmm.
So if in the book her losing this baby is motivating her towards being like, fuck all of those motherfuckers, the show just went a complete different direction.
Completely different way. Completely. I also wanted the thing that I was mentioning earlier with Mushroom's version. I love this because, again, there's like Mushroom's version that I'm thinking the show is going to go with, but even with Beesbury, he does not. So there is no scenario in which Beesbury's death is an accident. Kristen Cole killed that kid. This dude, it's the only option in which Kristen did not kill Beesbury was the version in which Grand Maester Orwell says he was seized at the door by the command of Sir Otto Hightower and escorted to the dungeons. Confined to a black cell, he would in time perish of a chill whilst awaiting trial, which sounds highly unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
Septon Eustace says Sir Kristen Cole forced Beesbury back into his seat and opened his throat with a dagger. Mushroom charges Sir Kristen with his lordship's death as well, but in his version, Cole grasped the old man by the back of his collar and flung him out a window to die impaled upon the iron spikes in the moat below.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I am not believing the first version at all. And both the other versions are Cole very deliberately murdering this man. I would really appreciate we just acknowledge that Cole is a piece of shit and have him purposely murder this man. And then he gets away with it because apparently he can do whatever he wants. And then, let's see, on Dragonstone, no cheers were heard because they're coming right from the coronation. Screams echoed through the halls and stairwells of Sea Dragon Tower. Rhaenyra strained and shuddered in her third day of labor. The child had not been due for another turn of the moon, but the tidings from King's Landing had driven the princess into a black fury, and her rage seemed to bring on the birth, as if the babe inside were angry too and fighting to get out. The princess shrieked curses all through her labor, calling down the wrath of the gods upon her half-brothers and their mother the queen, and detailing the torments she would inflict upon them before she would let them die. She cursed the child inside her too, Mushroom tells us, clawing at her swollen belly as Maester Gerardus and the midwife tried to restrain her and shouting, "Monster, get out, get out, get out." When the babe came forth, she proved indeed a monster, a stillborn girl twisted and malformed with a hole in her chest where her heart should have been and a stubby scaled tail. Or so Mushroom describes her. And this is when she says, "She was my only daughter and they killed her. They stole my crown and murdered my daughter and they shall answer for it." And that is her line.
Well, that's very different.
It's quite different. And again, they're softening both her and Allison in ways that I find highly suspect. I don't mind changes in general, but I feel like if you're going to have both of them kind of just fundamentally different people, and both of those changes result in someone who feels like they don't have the same kind of like ambition, when women are so frequently specifically vilified for being ambitious in the way men are freely allowed to be, it feels sexist. The changes feel sexist. I can't help but feel that way. Let somebody genuinely want the thing for the sake of it and be ready to shed blood because they believe in it. End of. But we have Daemon getting angry on her behalf and then like choking her out later.
Yeah.
For why? What does that do? We know he's a piece of shit. We've been aware. It's fine. We don't need to see domestic violence. And we don't need, like, all that is also a moment to be like, oh, he didn't know about the prophecy. So he was never a serious contender
Right.
for the,
Yeah.
you know, which I felt we knew.
That was very interesting, right? Because according to the people at the show, that's what drove him to lay his hands on her and choke her, was
Mhm.
the final realization that his brother never truly considered Damon to be the heir.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was like a shockingly final nail in that coffin. But I thought Damon already knew that.
Same.
I didn't realize that we were supposed to understand that Damon had secretly been harboring this idea that he was just a hair away from being the heir, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my bad. I guess I didn't, like, get that from watching the show.
You're bad. No. No.
And that when she realizes that Damon never heard this bit of the tale, there is a look on Rhaenyra's face. Because we know that Rhaenyra had always thought that Damon was a real competitor,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And there's a look of, like, almost like stunned relief,
Mm-hmm.
and being like, wow, my father really did think it should be me. Like, I thought that, like, he thought it was going to be could be either of us. And so he would have entrusted both of us with the secret.
Mm-hmm.
And then to find out that really her father never entrusted anyone else but her is sort of cementing her belief that, yeah, this is for me, you know? But having Damon choke her, I don't know. I just
like it's not out of character. We know he murdered his last wife.
We saw him like head to his ex-wife with a fucking giant rock in his head. We know that he's 100% capable of this and so much more.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something about it happening after she's crowned queen. You know, there's something about it happening in this particular moment where he is, I think, just fucking salty and jealous, and his
Mm-hmm.
ego is bruised, you know? And that is just particularly ugly, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't surprised that he did it, because like you said, we've known.
Mm-hmm. I don't really, like, this woman just went through this horrific miscarriage and got usurped. And the whole thing is that he's supposed to be, like, backing her because of her claim, but then turns on her so quickly and so brutally in this moment where I felt the character was already being sort of, like, not allowed to have the strength of her rage fully expressed. And so for him to be the one that's endorsing going to war and putting his hands on her, it just, again, why do you need to weaken these women so much? Why do they have to be at the mercy of these men in this way repeatedly? Why do we need to see this? What does this accomplish?
It is such a strange thing to have him, because Damon also, in all the war room chats and strategy, like, he is running the show practically in a lot of ways, even though she's, you know, queen. And they just, like, I thought this was supposed to be the war between these two women, but really it's not shaping up to be that at all. It's shaping up to be like a war between the various men that surround them.
Yeah, exactly. And I find this to be really disappointing compared to what I was hoping to see, which was a couple of very intense, badass, or at least trying to be badass women who are going to come with the guns blazing and just go for it. And instead we have one woman who just keeps being deceived and lied to and accidentally finds herself in this position because of who her father is and the way everybody's doing things around her. And then we have Rhaenyra, who is, like, a lot more patient and interested in a potential negotiation until her son is killed, that's the part that pushes her over the edge.
Yeah.
Instead of it's on behalf of her child rather than on just behalf of herself and what she was promised and is entitled to.
Right.
And that feels like we always give women fucking motivations based on their children. Why can't we ever just fucking want something? Why can't we just want it for ourselves? Why does it have to be, oh, now you killed my kid, all bets are off?
Mm-hmm.
No, now you stole my crown after saying to my fucking face, I would make a good queen. All bets are off. Why is that not enough?
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's insulting, and it's just so misogynistic, and it's like this whole thing is supposed to be showcasing these women, and it's doing them every disservice. I'm just really disappointed.
We didn't talk about it, I think, because secretly neither one of us wanted to. But in episode 9, the whole thing with Allison and Laris and the whole foot thing.
Oh, yeah. I guess I purposely just decided not to talk about that.
I was going to like also, but then you brought up this bit, and I feel like it kind of ties into it because they gave us this character of Allison who I interpreted as being this like overly pious woman in her adulthood as a sort of reaction to her bad behavior when she stabs Rhaenyra, and then just trying to also be to always have the moral high ground. Like, she doesn't like the way Rhaenyra has chosen to live her life and have these children that, you know, outside of her marriage. So she's going to be like the anti-Rhaenyra, and I'm going to be the most pious, you know, the most above reproach and all that shit, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they introduced this relationship with Laris a couple episodes ago where he ends up killing his family in service of the queen, but she didn't explicitly ask him to do that. So again, it's once more, she's not entirely complicit, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then they show us in this episode 9 that this relationship between her and Laris has continued over the years, but now it has become even more transactional.
Mm-hmm.
And the transaction in this case is this foot fetish sexual encounter that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And so they take this woman who I'm supposed to believe is so self-righteous, and then show me that she trades herself in this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that she is, it looks like, clearly disgusted with herself that she's participating in this.
Yes.
When they could have been like, yeah, she knows all she has to do is let this motherfucker stare at her feet and he'll do whatever the fuck she wants because she's the one with the power here.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't give us that. They gave us her looking like deeply ashamed, you know. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but it felt like she looks like she's really ashamed that she's doing this, that she feels sort of like dirty, you know?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And it didn't have to be that way. And I don't even mean like they didn't have to give us a foot fetish thing, because they really didn't. But if they were,
they really did.
But if they were going to do it, that could have been, she does have so much more power in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But they really chose to like turn it on its head and make it like he's the one with all the power in that moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I would have been here kind of if she had like swished into the room and wanted to know information, and he was kind of like withholding, and then she's just like, oh, word, you don't want to tell me? You know, and then maybe like swings a little foot out or something. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Definitely. The basic excitement that I had for this is just fundamentally being undermined. So it's sort of taken the luster off of it for me. So when I say that I had like a positive like things to say, I would say that it is a good show. It's well done. But what I wanted and what I was excited about, it seems that the people involved in making these properties are fundamentally unable to understand how to make women characters with agency. It just doesn't seem like they know how to do it.
I mean, they don't have to understand how to do it. You know what I mean? Like, they're wildly successful. Why would they, you know what I mean? Like, any sort of motivation to do fucking better is practically non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the show is still smashing all kinds of records.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, they're going to keep doing the same shit, I think.
I think so. I really like, and I should have known from the fucking jump when they decided to have this woman be like murdered in her child bed the way they did. I mean, I was suspicious. You guys know. I was disgusted by them deciding that's how they were going to start things out. And they really thought they were like fucking saying something with that. And the fact that George R. Martin is so deeply involved, I don't know what to think. He said to Patty Considine that his Viserys is better than the one he wrote,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is true.
Mm-hmm.
The Viserys that we saw on screen and that we have heard like what Patty decided to make his motivations about is a lot more interesting than the Viserys who is just like kind of a indecisive drunk, which that's played. So sure, that's cool. But these two women are the princess and the queen of the titular princess and the queen. And I feel that giving them agency should be a priority.
Mm-hmm.
That was what I enjoyed about it. And I guess I am in a different place in my priorities to him. I was looking at this as him writing a conflict between two women in a way that was like giving them the chance to duke it out in a way that men usually get to. And I'm realizing like, maybe that just wasn't at all the way he saw it at all.
It doesn't seem
know?
like it. I mean, I haven't read the books, but he doesn't see it. He was super involved in this. Every interview that I have listened to and every behind the scenes that I've listened to, seems like the show is really elevating his words and going in directions that he is sanctioning, that he thinks are like incredibly interesting and insightful,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I don't really know what to make of him. I've said this before about him. I really don't know what to make of George Martin, because the George Martin on the page and the George Martin on a TV screen seem to be very different things. And yet he's involved heavily in both. And I know people are like, well, he was only involved in Game of Thrones, and then eventually he wasn't as much. But the conversations that I heard about the show versus the book started fairly early in the Game of Thrones show.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know, you guys. Y'all know him better than I know him.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. But so my goodness gracious. I just got to the scene where Daemon is telling everybody what they're going to be doing, and the bannermen that they're going to go try to treat with and everything. And meanwhile, Rhaenyra is off screen just howling.
Yep.
And they're all like having to pretend like they don't hear her screaming.
Mm-hmm,
And at one point, one of the Kingsguard is like, do you want to go check on that?
Yeah.
And David just gives him a look like, if you don't mind your business, I am where I want to be.
Yep. Check on what exactly? The queen that we're supposed to be working for right now, the thing that I am explicitly, right? Yeah.
And so she sends Jacaerys in her stead to be like, I need you to fucking make sure that these assholes don't do anything without my fucking permission while I am otherwise engaged. And fucking Jacaerys tries to go in. He does a good job.
He does, for like what power does he really have?
Right,
he's leveraging what he has to work with.
What he has to work with. He walks in that room and even puts a little bass in his voice, like, "Did you hear what I just said?"
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Daemon, in response, takes him out. And this is so. He says, "I want to show you what loyalty means." And then they go, and Daemon takes the two Kingsguard, and is just really like, "Who you with?" All this drama.
Yep.
But my question to you is, who are you riding with? And unsurprisingly, they say, well, you're going to have this dragon staring in my face. I guess I'm riding with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the closest I think we get to anything like what we saw in King's Landing. When, Otto and everybody else is basically like, you're all going to swear fealty right now to Aegon, or you're not going to go home.
Yeah.
We don't really see much of that at Dragonstone. There doesn't seem to even be a need for it,
No, it seems like if somebody has left King's Landing and is at Dragonstone at all,
right, then it's already
mostly
a wrap.
declaration.
Yeah. Which is why I think I had the question circling back around to the Erics Eric is not at Dragonstone yet. And he has to make it when he makes a choice, and decides he's going to skedaddle and show up at Dragonstone with the crown later. And I'm curious because we don't see literally anybody else coming to Dragonstone in this episode.
I think maybe they didn't have him sworn to her so that there could be the dramatic departure versus just hearing that the two brothers were on different sides, which is kind of how it happens in the story.
Right. And I understand that not a lot of time has passed in the goings between Viserys actually dying, the coronation, and what we end up at the end of the 10th episode. But enough time has passed for Eric at least to make this trip. News is out, right? Mm-hmm. News is out. Everybody knows. And no one has come to Dragonstone. And I am, for one, concerned about that. There's a lot of talk in this episode about sending ravens and sending people to treat, with the various lords to figure out where everybody stands. But I feel really uncomfortable that people haven't just been like, oh, we need to go pay our respects to the new queen immediately.
Right.
I feel like that should have fucking happened. So when Otto shows up, oh my God, you guys, this fucking guy, I cannot stand him.
He's standing there like, we will find your kids jobs as baristas in the palace Starbucks. It's going to be fine. Unpaid internships are available.
We're going to give them experience and exposure.
Yep.
He tells them that they have already sent word to the other bannermen and names them, right? And offered terms. So when she sends her kids, this is where I get kind of pissy that she sends Lucerys to see Boris Baratheon.
Mm-hmm.
Because they already know that the Greens have reached out to him. Why would you send your baby?
I think that she really just was so certain that the Baratheons would not go back on their word.
And she sends him empty-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
just to remind him of his oath. Which she thinks is enough. And he clearly is just insulted at the reminder, which is hilarious. Because then he's like, and what do you have to offer me? You clearly needed the reminder, sir. Since you're asking for something extra to uphold an oath that you took.
I mean, but...
I guess you did require some reminding.
He is, but think, Aemon is there first, and I forget exactly what the terms are, but they were quite generous, and it involved a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
And I am Team Black, and I want Rhaenyra.
Shocking.
I didn't have a choice, guys,
She's rooting for everyone Black.
I always am. But this decision is like, Rhaenyra, really? I don't love it. I don't love it, and it is concerning to me that I guess I don't want to call it arrogance, but maybe that's the right word for it. To think, because even Corlys tells her to her face, yeah, the Hightowers swore too, though,
mm-hmm.
didn't they? So you are putting a lot of stock in the fact that people are going to feel honor bound.
Yep.
It makes me concerned for how fit she is to rule. If she's going to be making these kind of decisions, I have to be honest, y'all. I don't.
This is all a demonstration of the fruit of the conversation that she had with Rhaenys, where Rhaenys had told her when she was a kid, they are not going to want you. You need to know this. And her being like, well, I'll create a new order. And it's like, you have to be in that position to create it. You have to already be there. That's the fucking trick that nobody tells you, is that in order to, quote, change things from the inside, you have to get inside where you aren't wanted.
Yeah.
And that's a lot harder than it sounds. And that is what results in people who have not yet made it all the way inside to tell themselves that I just need a little bit more time to get higher up before I take action, until suddenly they're just like complicit in a regular way because they've put it off.
This feeling, and it's really kind of, I keep seeing people talk about the similarities to Daenerys 170 years later, you know, the whole I'm going to break the wheel and all that. And then ultimately we know what the show decided to do with her character. Yeah. And it is, I hope we are not about to head into a repeat of that in the seasons of this show to come, you know, where we see, I think I saw a headline I didn't even bother clicking on. It's like, is Rhaenyra going to be like the Mad Queen the way they did Daenerys, you know? Is all her, like her rage and fury at Lucerys's death is going to make her go, air quotes, crazy, you know? Instead of all her actions being because she, you know, it has a right to the throne as far as all the social conventions go. It's going to be more of like she's driven to madness. Yeah. I do really like the scene though where Eric comes and gives her her crown, and I want to say how beautiful the music was in that moment.
Yeah,
I was caught up. I'm not gonna lie. And then we have this wonderful, wonderful scene of her walking into the war room again, but flanked on each side by her guards, and she's wearing her crown, and in a beautiful shot of the table coming to life. It is all just spectacular. Yeah. And I have to say that little sequence was like reminding me of why I watch this fucking show. When they do things like this and they get it just so right, you're just like, oh, this is what I'm here for.
It is. Yep. Definitely.
Yeah. It was really nice.
And when I talk about, like, you know, it was well acted and everything, the moment where she finds out that her son has died and turns around, the look on this woman's face gives me actual chills. I had already seen the episode. It was on the second viewing, and I'm watching her turn around, and my flesh broke out into goosebumps because she was murder. Like, she was the fucking angel of death standing there. Yeah. It was so scary. I was just damn. Their
performance in that moment, like Emma Darcy has just been killing it the whole season, and Olivia Cook as well. I really like, as much as I shit about Alicent, I think that that actress is just really doing something with this role. But Emma is just, the way she looks, her like lifts their head up and looks at the camera, and then just like, you're like, all right, we're about to set all this shit on fire. And I, for one, think it's a fantastic idea. You should absolutely set everything on fire.
And the having to mix the fury with the pain of having just gotten this news. You see both so clearly. Yeah. It's just unbelievable. I wonder how many takes it took to get that great a moment. Yeah. Like, was it just first try shit? Was it she? I keep going back and forth between calling her,
because she is the character, but then you're also talking about the actor, so it's like, I was having the same stumble.
So I think for the actor, I'll say did they have to try a lot to get it, or were they almost there almost immediately? You know, I will never forget. Just like, that's going to be one of the moments in TV that I think I'm going to reference when I, from now on, talk about big shifts in motivation. Her face is going to be it. Just, this is the picture of.
I almost made it like my Facebook profile. It was so good. I almost made this shit my profile picture. Yeah. I love this. I'm at the part where the Corlys is about to come in. These men of Westeros are all so fucking dramatic.
I swear to God.
Like,
I will say, though, I love when Rhaenys is like, your brother went in there and called them illegitimate. And he's like, ugh. These fucking idiots. All right, look, I can't deny it. My bloodline is a mess.
He just owns that shit, doesn't he? It's like, God damn it, we stay fucking up. We can't help ourselves. But then he's like, all right, baby, me and you, we gonna run away and hide from everything. Which, okay, first of all, sir, you've been running away for 6 years, hiding from everything.
Honestly.
So what are you even talking about?
All he's doing is taking her with him this time.
But Rhaenys is like, no, because the babies. These boys will never be safe. Like, there is no running and hiding now. And I love that we got to see Rhaenys call Corlys out for abandoning her. Because that is, it's like, it's, you know, it's over the top because of the show. You know, he runs off to war for 6 years, you know. But honestly, there is a truth to that sort of, oftentimes in relationships, something horrific will happen, you know, and one of the partners will retreat into something else, you know, whatever it is, might, you know, work or whatever the fuck, and not be available to the other partner. And that's what Corlys has done to Rhaenys. Left her in her grief, you know, when she should have.
He says, I had lost everything. And she has to remind him.
This motherfucker says, like, she don't exist. Like, those weren't her babies.
Yep.
Men got nothing if not the audacity.
The audacity. That's why they have pockets. He's in the midst of apologizing and already fucking up. And I was just like, girl, just leave him there. Just fucking go and do your own thing.
I was so glad to see her call him out, though. Like, right as he was saying it, like, no, we. And then his whole little fantasy about retiring to the countryside. And we only see her remind him that, you know, the boys would not be safe. And then it cuts immediately to Corlys, you know, making his grand entrance. But yeah, once again, Rhaenys has to counsel her husband and be the voice of reason and like the voice of responsibility. And I just imagine she has got to be fucking tired.
Yeah. Yep. And this is the role of so many women. Managing men and themselves. But yeah, I was just at least relieved to see him again. I will say that, because he has been such a bright spot in this series.
Oh yeah.
For him to be missing for so many, I was just like, oh, where is he? What is he doing?
Yeah.
Come on.
And I do like to see them together. When he makes his entrance, Rhaenys has this look on her face the whole time. Then it's just like, all right, I'm gonna let him cook. I'm gonna just let him go ahead and do what he does.
Yes.
She's actually another really good background face to keep an eye on. Like Otto is as well. But some of the shots, there's a fantastic shot going around, somebody like memeified, when Daemon is counting. Daemon has a lot of counting dragons in these episodes. And he is counting the dragons that they have, and he names Maelys. And there's a shot of Rhaenys where she's just like, oh, word? My Maelys?
And I honestly was kind of like, yeah, you came and gave them the news. If you don't think this means that you're on their side in their head,
Daemon says,
I don't know what you thought.
He says right to her face when she shows up, oh, but you're here though. Almost like, okay, how did you get away? Like, what kind of deal did you cut to get away?
Yep.
Yeah, he is immediately like, he is not with the shits when she shows up. First of all, you left and those motherfuckers are still alive. You're useless.
Yeah, I honestly, there was a lot for me in this episode of, I don't know, Daemon's talking sense. Daemon's kind of got the vibe I would have. I don't know how I feel about that, except for the whole strangling his wife bit.
Like, it's very awkward that I'm here on the side of like being like, yeah, Daemon's got the right idea.
I don't love it, but I also wish that maybe we could just give it a shot, just try his way, just to see.
When he tells Rhaenyra that like when she's talking about the Song of Ice and Fire, and he tells her, what does he say? First of all, he's just like, fuck Viserys and his dumbass dreams and prophecies.
Which I was again on his side. He says he used them to make his feckless reign seem as if it had a purpose. And I was like
fucking harsh.
Oh,
that shit is harsh.
shit.
That man has only been dead 36 hours, and you just...
He rose from the dead. He was burned so bad and was like, ouch. I swear to God, though, I can't even like argue with him because I don't care about the stupid prophecy. It doesn't matter. Then the fact that they keep leaning on this as anything, I just can't be asked to care.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's nothing.
It's especially considering that we know how this story ended, at least the show's version of how it ended. And like, there wasn't a Targaryen on the throne, right? And they ended up vanquishing the Night Queen, and that wasn't a Targaryen at all. I just, I don't know, sir.
There's a whole lot about it that feels very, like, honestly, Damon saying that felt like the show inadvertently being like, we're using portents and symbols to make this reign in the show, this feckless reign, feel like it has some purpose. I don't think intend for it, but it kind of felt like that's what they were doing. They were highlighting their own fucking strategy.
They said more than they meant to say.
Yeah. Very, very much so to my mind.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
We haven't talked about the dragon fight.
Oh, wow. We talked about like the consequences of his death. So that was kind of like the main thing for me. But I mean, that moment where Vhagar is above him and you see how
the outline of how huge this fucking thing is. That was an incredible shot. I have to say that whole sequence, I was on the edge of my seat. It was nerve-wracking. I did not know what was going to happen, obviously. I was not spoiled on that at all. So these, the whole thing it storms in, this poor little kid, and then this fucking maniac trying to take an eye out. Boris being like, get out of my house. Y'all can't do this shit here. Are you crazy? Also, he couldn't read, which I guess is not a big deal, but I laughed. I didn't mean to. There's nothing wrong with not being able to read, but something about it just was like... There
was something about him just being like I would bother. I have people to do it for me. That felt like it was a mark of pride for him. And I was like, all right, he's going to play it that way.
It definitely felt like they were telling us a little bit about this character in like a shorthand, because he's highborn enough. It's not like he wouldn't have had the opportunity to be literate,
100%.
It's just a matter of he, at some point in his life, was just like, you know what? Fuck that shit. And I feel like that was important to him as a character.
I had better things to do. The arrogance of the moment and him just seeming really like delighted with the fact that he has somebody to hand it to and almost like it's beneath him. Yeah.
There's a couple of moments of just being like, there's the moment with Lucerys and Baratheon when Otto comes to offer terms and Rhaenyra just like rips the hand sigil off of his little lapel.
Yeah.
These moments of like, I'm trying to think of how I'm trying to say this. You can do whatever you want to do, I guess, in this universe. But there are some things where you're just like, oh, we just doing that? And so when she walks up and rips the pen off of Otto, and like, it looks like they're going to go to blows, and then she ends up, what he does is he hands her that piece of paper from the book that her and Alicent, I guess, like to read when they were little kids. And it was just, I don't know, I guess, but I just, like, it's playing on her sentimentality. And he does the same thing. He accuses Alicent as well as being weak against Rhaenyra in episode 9 because they were childhood friends. Do you think Alicent really sent that?
I don't think there's a way for him to have gotten a hold of it if she didn't have a hand in him having it.
Okay.
I don't know if she would have like been like used this against her exactly, but I don't know.
So maybe she did send it in good faith.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well,
it's just the thing for me is again how much Damon has to be the one like, how about we just cut his cock off and stuck it in his mouth and then send him back? And again, I'm like, yes.
Could have. I mean, they really could have done that. We really could have done that. War has been declared the moment they usurped the throne, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really anything that the blacks would have done is in retaliation, but for some reason they are all framing it, or not they all, but Rhaenyra and Rhaenys at least are both framing it as no war has been declared yet, so we don't have to do anything. We're not going to make the first move. Well, the first move has already been made.
It's been made.
So and the fact that they chose to have the two women be the ones that are behaving that way,
because we're the peacemaker.
I guess so. I guess so.
No. She would have cut Otto's cock off and stuffed it in his mouth and sent his body home. She would have.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't show up to do this in person himself.
That's another thing too, right? To send him alone. Well, not alone. He's got like men with him, but no one with dragons. To a dragon infested place, to a place literally called Dragonstone. It just seems again
so disrespectful.
Just like another choice that doesn't make 100% sense. And I imagine some people are like, "Well, Otto had to go dragonless because anything else would have felt like an aggression."
Mm-hmm.
But
they stole the throne already. So like,
right?
Literally. So what?
So yeah, some of this is very uneven for me.
Mm-hmm.
But so then the thing with Vhagar and Eric's was stunning to watch visually. It was just impressive. It was harrowing. I was edge of my seat. I wanted Luke to just fucking stay in the nooks and crannies, please, for the love of God. Just hunker down.
Mm-hmm.
Wait him out. Aemon will get bored. It's fine. But instead,
and it's interesting. So many people are talking about Aemon losing control of his dragon, but
Luke did. Yeah.
Luke lost his first because it went and blew fire.
Yeah,
and somebody like a fucking 27 times his size dragon.
Yeah.
What is his dragon's name?
Erex, I think.
Erex. Get a hold of yourself.
Listen,
who do you think you are fucking
that
with?
Little poor dragon was out in these streets fighting for his life, Natasha. This baby is like 12 years old. He has probably never seen a dragon the size of Vhagar. He doesn't understand why is this thing chasing him.
Mm-hmm.
And he turns around and it's the cutest little of fire. It's just like
it's just like he spat at him a little bit.
And somebody took that fucking Jordan meme and I took it personally.
And I took that personally. Yep, I know the one.
And because Vhagar did not have to do that baby dragon like that. I have been reminded that Vhagar is old as fuck. Like this is a dragon that has really seen some shit. Like she was here for. She is old enough to go back to like the conquest, right? Is that my understanding?
I think so.
So this bitch is not for play. And what she has is somebody riding her who doesn't do anything but fucking play.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a recipe for fucking disaster. And you know what? I don't know if I said it on the podcast, but I know I thought it. When he stole Vhagar as a child, somebody should have intervened. Where were the adults? Someone should have been like...
One of the adults was fucking on the beach.
You know what?
The other adult was fucking with a bunch of dudes.
That is absolutely what happened, isn't it?
Yep. And so nobody asked any questions because everybody fucking knew exactly where the adults were, and they did not want to have that conversation.
That baby should not have ever been allowed to take up Vhagar. Like, that is just fucking irresponsible on everybody's part. And, and they were just so fucking power hungry that they were just like, oh, this is great, it was worth an eye to get like a fucking weapon like that. Well,
Yep. Yeah, I'm just never ever going, like, if we're going to go with the narrative of him losing control of his dragon, I am very willing to be like, yeah, he lost control of it because he didn't get it honorably, because it's like not really his. I know that that's not really how that works. The dragon accepted him. Vhagar is his dragon now. But I am so salty about the means by which he accomplished this that I'm always going to be blaming it on the fact that, well, that's what happens when you get a dragon through nefarious means. It doesn't listen to your ass, and maybe you fucking should have thought of that. And I know that, again, that is not really how this works.
Yeah, I mean, because at the same time, people are like, well, what about, Lucerys lost control of his as well. But that baby was scared, and I think that's different. That's an entirely different loss of control.
He was being toyed with and reacted very reasonably, I think.
Vhagar overreacted.
Like, you don't have something that comes, like, you have little old me getting poked and prodded by something the size of a skyscraper. Mm-hmm. You think I'm not going to just do whatever I have? Use whatever I've got? You're wrong. I'm going to, and it won't be cautious. It won't be just, oh, I'm trying to get away. It's a skyscraper. I'm not getting away. I am going to assume I am not getting away. That's not happening. And based on the way that he goes after Lucerys to take his eye, there is no reason for me as Lucerys to think he isn't intending to kill me.
Oh, yeah. I 100% believe that, Lucerys had to feel like his life was in some real fucking danger. I don't doubt that for a second. And, and when you playing games out here with dragons...
Yep.
And that's why when I was talking earlier about Aemon, it's like the game of it, like he really, so far at least, we've seen how much he likes to provoke people, how much he likes to push people to the edge to see how far he can make them go, how far he can take things. But, and this shit just got out of control. Like, he lost control, not just of the dragon, but of the entire situation, and I would imagine that when he was sent out on this mission, right, the Greens send him to go deal with the Baratheon and try to get him on board on their side. And then you're supposed to bring your ass home. That's it. That's all you were supposed to do.
That's it.
Was go out there. You know what I mean? And then he goes out and causes all this extra shit.
There's a Reno 911. Yes. And there's the black woman cop and the white woman cop. And the white woman cop feels like she wants to be seen as more like cool and badass. And she's just such a kind of goofy nothing. So she's asking for advice. And the black woman tells her, yeah, well, you walk up to him and you say, sup. And the white woman says, sup, bitch. And the black woman looks at her and says, see, you keep doing that. You keep on adding extras. And I think of her voice saying, you keep on adding extras. Oh, like, that's just burned into my brain. It's one of those things. So the description that you have here of Aemond and the way he's handling this is, first, I've got Keegan-Michael Key saying, you done messed up, Aemond. And then her saying, you keep adding extras.
He really did, though. he went out there and just went completely fucking off script, right? Oh. And turned this into a whole fucking other thing.
And look, we have said already, they were at war and there was no taking that back. And I fully believe that. But killing a child in this way is going to change the nature of it. It just is. Yeah.
You have you have usurped the throne, and that's really fucking serious. But no blood some blood has been shed. but R.I.P. Beesbury. And that whoever that other lord was, but really, like, no royal blood has been shed just yet. So we we can. It's not like a bridge too far yet, but it is now.
Yep.
Oh man, but yeah, that was really, really well done. Though that whole sequence is crazy to watch. And when Vagar comes in for the kill, the way, because you think like the skies have cleared, and it feels like we've kind of gotten out of the danger for and you think it's over, and then it feels like we flew right into that motherfucker's mouth. It's just like,
yeah, this reminded me of Jaws, and how you see the shark go under the boat, and you're like, oh my god.
Yes, that's really, really what it felt like. And then I want to mention, just because it's a thing that happened, even though I don't understand everything that's going on, we have a sequence of Damon singing to a dragon we haven't met yet. I don't know how to say it. Vermithor, maybe? Something like that.
Sounds right.
I don't know what's going on here, but when they're listing the dragons, there are a couple of dragons who don't have riders. So when I start to think about what I want to see next season, things I'm looking forward to, are meeting these other dragons and who is going to get to ride them, if anyone, I really don't want to see dragon on dragon crime, but I know that's coming. But I am looking forward to meeting more dragons, because even though the show needs to be more than just dragons, I am here for the dragons.
That's what you're here for. Is there anybody in particular that you want to see riding a dragon that doesn't have one?
I want to see, of course, Damon's girls. One of them already has a dragon, Moonfire. I forget which girl is which, but one of them has a dragon and one doesn't. So, of course, I want to see the one who doesn't have a dragon get one. Now, the one that was betrothed to Lucerys, I don't know. I feel heartbroken for her, too, because they look so excited to be with those boys.
I know.
Every time they're on screen together, they're both just grinning ear to ear, and it was really, really cute. So I hope that she gets a dragon, and I hope that she also gets some revenge, because that was her boo, and he's gone now, and I feel like that's not going to sit well. So, and as far as who else could ride the other dragons, though, I don't know, because my understanding was it was pretty much only Targaryens. Do we have extra Targaryens running around? I guess
maybe they could leash him up like a dog walker and take a couple at a time.
I mean, I thought that we were going to see Daemon like try to ride this other dragon, and I was really legit like, can you ride more than one dragon at a time? Is that even
That's a good
possible?
question.
Like, will a dragon accept you as its rider if you're already bonded and riding another one? Like, I don't know the rules, around that. So I'm very curious who. I mean, we're living in a time when there are, I'm assuming, Targaryens aplenty, right? So it wouldn't be a stretch for them to just introduce a handful of them to me, from so-and-so.
And actually, speaking of which, Viserys and Alicent had another son that we haven't even met yet.
Is that Darian?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that's fostered in Old Town. But
it's really funny though that they never even mention him. We're being assured that's where he is and that he will show up, but it's gonna feel really weird when he shows up, because he hasn't been mentioned in any way. So unless I missed it and he was mentioned, but I don't think it's come up.
I can't. So. I know I've been told multiple times about him, but I don't remember if it ever was actually said on screen or even acknowledged. I guess I was about to say, why wouldn't he be there for the coronation? But then I remembered that shit happened in like 12 hours. So there was no time. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that for next season. I guess I just want to see them like go at it.
So you don't want dragon on dragon violence, but you want dragon on dragon violence.
I know it's coming. I felt horrible about it though. I still got so sad when Arix went down. Yeah. I was low key sadder about the dragon, y'all. No shade. But I took it real hard.
I understand that though. Like they're such a finite resource.
Yes.
There's plenty of people.
Exactly. You could make another Lucerys, no problem.
Yep. Sorry, Lucerys, but you are kind of replaceable.
But yeah, so like knowing that this is all going to where this road ends lends a certain amount of sadness to just about everything for me. It's it's hard for me to divorce myself from the knowledge of how the story ends. So I'm always just kind of like I said at the beginning, just like as much as I love watching the story develop, there's a big part of me that's just like, no, but no.
Oh, and there's a side like prequel, I guess, that they're gonna make about the sea snake.
Oh yeah, I heard that they were doing that. Yeah. I don't know the details. Like everybody is assuming it's going to be with the actors that we met here, but I guess that doesn't have to be true depending on how far back they're going. They might go back to when they were quite young.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it probably won't feature them very much.
But everybody is like my excitement is 100% based on how much I like these two actors in in this role. I guess I would watch it though. I guess I would watch it. The world hasn't ended by then. I guess I'll watch it.
Oh God, yeah. Everything that they're like multiple years away from, I'm just kind of like,
bold of you to assume.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
But yeah, so I mean, we were all over the place, but I'm sure people were yelling because we probably didn't talk about everything. But
I know everybody was like really interested in us talking about the foot fetish thing, and then I just straight up like left it out. My bad. But I don't want to talk about it. I didn't like it. I think we actually did an admirable job here of staying within a reasonable amount of time, but I think covering pretty much everything. So good for us. And everybody listening, you're welcome. And we are going to be moving back into the books next week. So this will be the wrap for this. If you want to continue talking about stuff, there's the Discord channel for House of the Dragon spoilers that's got like actual talk of the book.
Oh, did you see that they released that illustrated book for this? That's been
illustrated Fire and Blood?
I think so, yeah. Or illustrated the dragons of something or the other. It's got that Linda, what's her face?
Oh, the one who does the website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's been like people have been sharing the art from the book like all fucking over the place. I guess also because she's terrible. So in an effort to not financially support her, people have just been like ripping all the images off and just been like, here it is for free.
Praxis.
But
sorry, I'll just use that word sometimes. I don't think it's actually relevant. But it just feels right.
I love that it's sort of just turned into like an internet comment. Like you see something that you just type that.
But no, I haven't seen that because there's like illustrations in the print one that I have on Kindle, but it's not they're not colored illustrations. It's just like black and white pencil drawing.
Oh yeah, these are like full on, like very similar to like what you see in the fucking the Untold History John,
Gotcha.
like
okay.
A big statement type book kind of thing that must have come out fairly in the last like couple of days.
Yeah, there's the Discord for talking. There's like a Song of Ice and Fire spoiler channel and a Song of Ice and Fire no spoiler channel, and the spoiler channel has the spoiler House of the Dragon chat. If you want to talk about just the show without finding out how it goes in the books, you can do that in the no spoilers House of the Dragon channel. There's like a separate thread, and I'm also making a separate post for each of our episodes on the forum so that people can just talk about whatever we talked about in our particular episode. But, that chat can go anywhere. It's just like there's times where people don't want to just talk about the show itself. They want to talk about it in the context of how you and I were discussing something, and they don't want to interrupt an ongoing conversation that might already have been going on in the other channel. So I made that like post separately about just the episode and our recording of it so that there's a place for folks to go to do that. Because I know that's a bit of a thing with Discord is sometimes you feel like you're interrupting an ongoing conversation, and the forums sort of help keep that from happening. So yeah, those are the places to go if you want to keep talking about that, but we are going to go back to the books And once the next season comes out, I pretty much assume that we will pause and cover it. But it looks like it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we're even in the midst of this anymore by then.
Yeah, 24, I think, right?
I think we will probably be.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and they say 24, like, who knows? It might not be. All right. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up?
No, ma'am. Just to thank everybody for hanging out with us. And
Right.
we'll do it again when they come back. And we'll probably find the same shit to bitch about. But we'll all be here doing it together as a family.
Hey. All right, everybody. We love you. Until next time. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.